Welcome to Learn Commerce PU online classes. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe our YouTube channel for all the updates.
Good morning to all. Welcome to our second PU online computer classes. And in last class we already learned about some of the basic concept of the OP. We know that OP is the object oriented programming, and some of the language of the OP are C++, C#, Java, and also I already discussed about the characteristics of the OP. So, the characteristics of the OP are object, and second one is called as the class, and third one here data abstraction, fourth one is the data encapsulation. Now, our today's new concept that is called as the characteristics of the object oriented programming is called as the inheritance. So, inheritance is the characteristics of the object oriented programming. Now, what's the meaning of the inheritance? Why? Because in our inheritance here two classes are there. So, the classes are, first one is called as the base class and second class name is called as the derived class. Now, what's the use of the base class and what do you mean by a derived class here? And such a base class is also calling as the super class. The base class, existing class, old class is also called as the super class here, and the subclasses are called as the derived class. Now also some confusion, the meaning of the base or the derived. Why? Because I already completed something in diagram. The diagram going to show about the super class and the subclass here. One super class is there and two subclasses are there here. Now let's see first of all what's the meaning of the inheritance. Why? Because in our object oriented programming, the concept of inheritance provide the idea of reusability. Now what do you mean by a reusability? That means here now just only I said it provides the idea of reusability. That means whatever the code is there in base class, we can share it to the derived class. Clear this point here? Whatever the code is there in our base class, in first class here, such code we can share it to the another class. That means the another class name is called as the derived class here. Or we can say that, let's see, before going to tell the meaning of the inheritance, let's see first of all the meaning of the base class. The existing class is called as the base class, super class here, and the new class called as the derived class, that is called as the subclass 1 and the subclass 2 here. And the meaning of the inheritance. The meaning of inheritance here, the process of forming a new class, how we constructed one new class. That means here the process of forming a new class from an existing class. So here we can say that we constructed one new class here, and such a new class is constructed by using the class, the name of the class that is called as the existing class. Why? Because existing class means such one is called as the base class. What's the meaning of the base class here? That means here the existing class is called as the base class here. So this is the meaning of the inheritance in this case here. Clear to everyone? The meaning of the inheritance, that means the process of forming a new class. Here we are going to construct one new class here, but how we constructed such a new class? Just by using our existing old class here, such is called as the inheritance. Or in other words, we can say that the object of one class acquires the property of the object of another class. Meaning is the same, no any changes here, just only by using the other word, or in other words I completed the meaning, but no any changes for our first meaning and to the second meaning. For our second meaning, why? Because the first meaning you know that about here I already written, and the second meaning is the object of the one class acquires the property of the object of the another class here just by using or through inheritance. In this case here, this is the meaning of the inheritance, or simply maybe some confusion, it will be clear now in our third point here. Why? Because the derived class shares some of the property of the base class here. Clear this point here? That means our base class, it going to share some property to the derived class in this case here. Okay, the base class, that means here we can say that the derived class shares some of the properties, whatever the property is there in our base class, it going to share to the derived class in this case here. Okay, here, and maybe finally we can say that the new class may combine the features of two different base classes also. Okay, here, why? Because in our inheritance some of the types are there. For the first type is called as the single inheritance. The first type is called as the single inheritance, or maybe we can say that the multiple inheritance in this case here. So many other types are there. Why? Because here we don't want the types of the inheritance. Here just only we need first of all the meaning of the inheritance, but also here I want to discuss by using some of the types of the inheritance, the single inheritance. Now what's the meaning of the single inheritance? So here the meaning of the single inheritance, we can say that here just only one base class is there, and by using such base class we constructed one more class that is called as the derived class. Now what's the meaning of this one? How we completed this meaning of the single inheritance? So here we can say that if a class is derived from a single base class, how we constructed the DC, the full form of the DC is the derived class. How we constructed such a DC derived class here? That means by using our single base class here. So if a class is derived from a single base class is called as the single inheritance. Clear this point here? It is called as the single inheritance in this case. Now what do you mean by a multiple inheritance? The multiple inheritance here we can say that maybe BC, we know that it's a base class here. So here more than one base classes are there here. Okay, more than one base classes are there. By using all these base classes we constructed one more class that is called as the derived class. So what's the meaning of our multiple inheritance here? That means if a class is derived by using more than one base classes, okay, the class is derived by using more than one base classes here. Why? Because here 1, 2, 3, more than 3 basis classes are there here, and we constructed just only one class that is called as the derived class here. So this is the meaning of the inheritance in this case here. Now let's see, the next point is about our overloading. Okay here. So in our overloading we can say that it allows the object to have different meaning depending upon the context. That means it allowing some of the object, we know the meaning of the object, maybe the member data, member functions are called as the object. It allowing the object to have different meaning depending upon the situation, depending upon the context in this case here. And maybe here in our overloading there are two types of overloading are there. The first overloading is the operator overloading, and second one is called as the function overloading. Now what's the meaning of the operator overloading here? So our operator overloading means here we can say that this is the suitable example. The first and second is the suitable example for our operator overloading here, or simply we can say that when an existing operator operates on new data type, when an existing operator operates on new data type here, or we can say by using one example here, the addition operators can be used for adding numbers, correct? No? In first example I used the addition operator, the plus sign. And why I used the plus sign? Why? Because I want to add two numbers 3 plus 3 here. So finally I got the answer as the 6 in this case here. So just by using our plus sign. So such plus sign addition operator I am not going to use just only to add two numbers in this case. such addition operator also using to make some concatenation. What do you mean by a concatenation? The meaning of the concatenation is just only called as the combine. Okay, here the combination, that means the adding two strings. We know the meaning of the strings. String is called as the group of characters is called as the string. Group of characters is called as the string here. So I want to add two strings. So two strings, one is the key, second one is the board. So finally I got the answer. The answer is the keyboard. But how I completed, how I got the answer as the keyboard here? Just by using the plus sign. Okay here. So we can say that when an operator behaves differently based on the operands. Correct no here? Why? Because operator plus is called as the operator. Operands are 3 and 3 are comes in case of the operands here, and maybe the key or board are also comes in case of the operands, but plus is called as the operator here. So clear the meaning of the operator overloading here. So operator overloading means when an existing operator operates on new data type, or when an operator behaves differently based on the operands. Okay, here is called as the operator overloading. Clear this point here? Now let's see the second point, that is called as the function overloading. Now what's the meaning of the function overloading here? We know that the function overloading means the two or more function. So in this example the function name is the sum. That means the two or more function have the same name but differ in the number of the arguments and different type of the data types is called as the function overloading. Clear the point? The meaning of the function overloading means here the two or more function have the same name. That means the function name is the same, but while going to use, we are going to use different kind of the arguments in this case here, or different kind of the our data type. So this is called as the function overloading here, or simply we can say that the function overloading is the process of defining the same function name. The function name is the sum in this case here, defining the same function name, okay, here by using, or it carry out different type of the activities, that means by using different kind of the data types here. So in this example we can say that here the sum function takes two integer arguments a and b. It takes two integer arguments that is different from the sum function that takes two float arguments. Clear this point? The function name is the same, but just only we are going to use different kind of the data type and different kind of the arguments name. Okay, so this is called as the function overloading here. So function overloading means two or more function have the same name but differ in the number of the arguments and different kind of the data type. That means we can say that the function name is the function name is overloaded. Okay, so this is about our overloading here. Now let's see the meaning of the polymorphism. So what about the meaning of the polymorphism in this case here? The meaning of the polymorphism, why? Because overloading and polymorphism both are same, but also in this chapter they added differently. Okay, they discussed by using different concept in this case here. So here we can say that the polymorphism, the ability of an operator and function to take multiple forms. Okay, here maybe the operator means the same example we can use for our polymorphism. The ability of an operator, okay, the ability of an operator in this case here, or maybe the function to take multiple forms, that means it going to perform more than one task is called as the polymorphism. So operator example, that means here we can take, or we can say as the consider the example of the addition operators, and we know that such addition operator also going to use to add two numbers and also while going to make combination of strings in this case here. That means here by using plus sign we operated twicely, it going to perform multiple tasks here. So we can say that it is suitable meaning or suitable explanation for our or the example, suitable example for our polymorphism. And for the function, the same example we can use for the polymorphism also. Otherwise, maybe if any doubt, we can say that maybe the one function, the name of the function is called as the paint function, and such a paint function is usable to paint the house, okay, and also we can say that to paint the college, or we can say that here to paint our furniture, okay, and finally we can say that also usable to paint the fabrics in this case here. That means the one function, the function name is the paint function, but we can use to perform different tasks. That means such one is usable maybe to paint our house, to paint college here, maybe to paint furniture, or finally we can say to paint the fabrics. That means the function is the one function but usable for multiple forms, multiple tasks in this case here. So this is the meaning about our polymorphism, okay, the meaning of the polymorphism. Why? Because we know that very important concept here. So the ability of an operator and function to take multiple forms here. The operator example here 3 plus 3 or key plus both here, and the function example maybe int sum, int a, int b, or maybe float sum, float p, float q in this case here. Otherwise you can take such example also. The example is the paint function example here. And later next one is about our message passing. So the eighth concept or the 8 characteristics of the object oriented programming is the message passing. Now what do you mean by a message passing? Meaning is very simple. Why? Because passing the message. We know that in our object oriented programming, the two important objects are there. The first object is called as the data members, and second object is called as the function, and such function is also calling as the methods, okay, here. So the two objects are there here. One object is the data members, such one only called as the member data here, and second one is called as the functions here, that is called as the methods, okay here. And we can say that why? Because here the meaning in our OP, the processing is done. Maybe some work is going to perform, or such one is going to done by sending messages to the objects. That means while going to execute the program, the object must interact or must send message to the objects here. Maybe the data sending message to the functions here, and function sending message to the data members here, just to done some of the, or it is a request for the execution of the procedure, okay, to execute the program here. Message passing, that means here it going to pass the message for the object in this case here, or message to the object. So the objects are, one is the data members, second one is called as the functions here, and it going to pass the message from one to another in this case here, and just their work is to complete, to execute the program.